up, you guys? Welcome to the December 22nd NBA season kickoff edition of 3 Ball, presented by Establish the Run. I'm your host, Mike Gallagher. Feels so good to say those words. The NBA is back. 3 Ball, 10 minutes of NBA news, stats, all sorts of information to get you set for whatever you're going to do with the NBA, DFS. So pumped. Please just give us a rate, comment, subscribe, please, so we can make this the best we can. And let's hop into the news here. We did news on yesterday's edition, but today just wanted to hit Rui Hachimura. We found out he is out 3 weeks with pink eye or conjunctivitis, so he's out until January, which is a dangerous spot for this Wizards rotation because as you can see in the depth charts, they're thin right there. That's probably one of their thinnest positions because they can play so many of their shooting guards at small forward, and we know they have a lot of ball handlers. We saw Troy Brown as a point guard. So losing Rui is a big deal. So that pretty much brings you to the first question is who starts? And we know Scott Brooks likes bringing Davis Bertans off the bench because he can kind of pick his spots if he wants to play him at the 3, the 4, even the 5. So he can kind of do game adjustments on when he brings him in. So do they start Anthony Gill? I mean, I don't know about that. Do they start Ro Wagner? They started him in the preseason. Probably can't do that. But I mean, either way, this means Davis Bertans is going to get a ton of minutes. That probably also helps Isak Bonga get more playing time. And their rookie Denny Avdia should be getting more playing time too. So we'll see if he could get up in the minutes. And we'll see some more small ball lineups with Troy Brown too. So a lot of minutes to be dispersed here with, again, Rui's not going to be great per minute. Like, I don't like him for fantasy, especially season long. But just the minutes, losing that chunk is a big loss for this rotation. All right, let's switch to the action portion of the NBA 3 Ball. No basketball to recap from Monday, but that'll change tomorrow. We'll be able to recap this stuff. So let's talk the Warriors rotation here. Big news, Draymond out. So that means, as we know, Eric, we talked about this briefly yesterday, Eric Paschall's going to start. And you would think he gets pretty close to 30 minutes and decent amount of offensive role. This team does need a little bit of offense besides Curry, which we'll talk about a little bit later. And we'll probably see a little bit more Kent Bazemore, a little bit of Wiggins at the 4. Definitely has the size. He'll have a tall task, quite literally, in possibly guarding Kevin Durant, which we'll talk about too. And then Kelly Oubre can play 4. So they've got answers. They can play Jordan Poole a little more. We could maybe see Damian Lee get in the rotation despite how he got bumped down. So a lot of ways that the Warriors can address not having Draymond. And then the other big question that everyone's asking is James Wiseman going to start? And we pretty much got a yes from Steve Kerr. He was saying that, quote, James is going to be our starting center before too long. And he said it might be Tuesday. And when he's ready for that, we'll put him out there. He said then it's just a matter of minutes. He did scrimmage with the first team on Saturday. So kind of putting everything together, you probably put him in minutes in the teens. And this pretty much being a 3-race split with Marquise Chris and Kevon Looney filling up the center minutes. You're not going to play Eric Paschall at the 5. So, we see some Draymond at the 5, depth lineup, Hampton's 5 lineup, so on and so forth. That's obviously not on the table. So you think those minutes are pretty much locked in to account for those 48. Moving over to the Brooklyn side of things, BK don't play, but they do play tonight with Steve Nash making his coaching debut, Kevin Durant making his Nets debut, and pretty healthy roster. We've got no Nicholas Claxton with his knee issue. He wasn't going to be in the rotation anyways. So the first thing you're probably going to notice is Karis LeVert is basically the backup point guard in this rotation now. And he was asked about it, and he said, quote, I'm looking forward to that challenge on coming off the bench. So we know he can handle high usage role. His minutes were a little discouraging in the bubble, so he may not get up to the upper 20s because of the injury. So that's something to keep an eye on. And then the second question you ask yourself is how deep is this rotation going to be? And you think it's going to pretty much be too deep at all these positions with backups and a couple exceptions. But the 11th man out is probably TLC. Maybe he's in, but Nash had said that TLC has been great in camp. It's hard to try to fit everyone in. Lots of guys deserve to play. So that makes it sound like he's just missed the rotation. I'm talking about the depth and everything. So yeah, those guys should be pretty solid on minutes. And then the other question you ask yourself is the minutes at the 5. We saw Nash say that both Jeff Green and Kevin Durant could both play the 5, and he held up on that end of the bargain. He ran a 5-minute lineup of Kyrie, Dinwiddie, Joe Harris, KD, and Jeff Green. I would classify KD as the 5 defensively because his blocking and rim protection is fantastic. So that's going to be interesting to see. So there won't be too many minutes. We'll probably see, 4, 5, 6 minutes of no center lineup. So that's going to cut into your DeAndres and your Jared Allens. Moving to the late game, we got a lot of injury news here, with the big one being no Marcus Morris. Knee soreness, right knee soreness. If you missed it on the yesterday's edition, this makes it 2017, 2018, 2019, and 2020. He's been listed with right knee soreness. So this is a thing for him. And it's really not surprising. It's crazy. Against his brother, his twin, missing the game. He could miss more time. And we pretty much know that Nicholas Batum is going to start here because Ty Lue basically told us, which was another hint that Marcus Morris could have missed some time here. So yeah, we'll see a lot of minutes, probably upper 20s, maybe close to 30, with him being a very low usage guy. I think he was 12% in the preseason. And, he had a really rough season, but the opportunity's there. So he's definitely a guy we should see minutes. And obviously taking him out, Luke Kennard just got paid. So he'll probably be looking at an opportunity to fill some minutes at the 3 with some 3-guard lineups. And Terrence Mann's probably going to have to squeeze in as they slide those shooting guards down to help fill the void behind Kawhi, now that Batum's not there to fill that either. So there should be a pretty decent amount of minutes with Marcus Morris getting out of the mix. And we should see pretty close to a Serge Zubats split. Serge had a back issue in the preseason, but surprisingly, despite how he's missed a lot of games, his back injuries haven't been too bad. So minutes should be pretty good. Moving on. The champ is here. Shout out to anyone who got that Skills Shaq diss reference. A little Lakers action. So yeah, we've got to figure out this starting lineup too, because we saw Kyle Kuzma talk about it, and Frank Vogel was asked about that. And, it made it seem like that he's kind of bringing Kuzma off the bench. He mentioned that, no matter what, he'll have, quote, a big role regardless of his rotation spot. And Vogel has, there's so many different ways to use him. We saw him kind of fill in as the backup for AD and LeBron when they would miss games, which was kind of another hint that maybe some LeBron rest is coming at some point. But, yeah, so that should make Dennis Schroeder the starter, despite how they really wanted to start Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. But give LeBron a little extra help in the first unit. That we don't know for sure about that too, but Schroeder's probably looking at minutes in the 20s. Kuzma probably lower 20s. And the question to me that's also really relevant here is AD at the 5. We saw him play 30-ish, 35% of his minutes at the 5 last year with talent that wasn't quite to this level with Marc Gasol and Montrezl Harrell. No disrespect to Dwight Howard and JaVale McGee, but these are just better players. So it turns out AD had 0 minutes at the 5 in the preseason, not in the dress rehearsal, obviously. So I still think they're going to find minutes there. Vogel was asked about it kind of a while ago, and he made it seem like at some point we're going to see AD at the 5 in some capacity. So yeah, but then again, just be careful that those guys get a couple minutes, 3, 4, 5 minutes taken out of the 48 pot. Okay, so that pretty much sums up the rotation. Let's talk some Kevin Durant really quick. Guess what? It's a revenge game. And as you see, he just looks so good. I mentioned what Steve Kerr said, that it's kind of scary for the rest of the league to see Kevin look how he played before. And yeah, he loves playing against old teams. His highest usage rate against any team is against OKC. And a distant second is Indy at 32.5. And then also Kevin Durant, he played big minutes in the openers, 38, 38, 37, different circumstances here. So maybe gets in the mid-30s. And I mentioned earlier, his defense, man, it's so good. Look at these blocks. It's just, the man's amazing. He can play 5. He's going to do so much damage. I'm expecting a big night from Kevin Durant in a revenge game tonight. And let's stick with this game, talking a little Steph Curry here, as you see some of his highlights from the preseason with threes. And he's almost like a shooting guard with how much he's just playing off the ball so much and how he finds screens and all this stuff. So it's interesting to see that his assists are just 4.6 per 36 in the preseason. That will be by far his lowest of his career. And they were kind of trending down because this is just what he is. He's just so good at shooting that he shouldn't pass. So, he could score a lot. I think he could score in the 30s. And Steve Nash was asked about that today. He said it's to be determined. Called him one of the all-time greats. And they have to kind of do it as a team to pay attention to him because he's going to get 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 screens per possession to get him these unbelievably good looks. So, yeah, it should be awesome to see. I cannot wait for tonight. So you guys enjoy the action, and we'll be back here tomorrow to talk about what happened and preview the ridiculous 13-game slate on Wednesday.